Hey guys, in this video I wanted to give you some of the top 3 common reasons that I see why people are not seeing progress on their bench press. And this is mostly going to be related to everything besides programming, because obviously that needs to be in check, but I find lots of times execution of the programming, especially from bench press, tends to be lacking. So without further ado, I wanted to get into it. So the number one reason I see why people are struggling making bench progress is probably that they are training too heavy all the time. They're constantly overshooting. They're not really actually respecting the RPEs on bench press because, well, it's kind of easy to train bench kind of hard. That is the ultimate bro exercise. It's very easy for people to see an RP7 on bench press. It doesn't really feel that hard, because it's not a squat or a deadlift. You're not using as much muscle mass, there's not as much oxygen demand, etc. So you kind of are like, oh, I'm just going to go until it feels hard all the time on all my sets. This is one of the big reasons why in bench press training, I think it has the most utility using percentages with RPE, because it holds you more in check in terms of, am I actually going to be training properly, actually getting the right stimulus? Because with powerlifting, the goal is to train really as heavy as you possibly can, as frequently as you can to make progress. Now, the issue with that is that there's going to be more fatigue generated with that. So that's why I said as heavy as you can, because while it might be best if you did like 30 singles at like an RPE 10, that might be exponentially fatiguing. It's going to take a lot of time. There's a lot of psychological fatigue associated with that, etc. So when you are training, make sure that you are sticking to your RPE. This is one of the things that I've struggled with a lot. Has been in the past, like my coach would give me an RPE 9, my top set, and it's like RPE 10 all the time. And that is really difficult to make training momentum, to maintain and create training momentum with. It also is just a result of typically if you feel like you have to go RPE 10 on your last week of training, you're starting off your blocks too heavy. So again, I would really recommend using like some percentages with your bench training. Really hold yourself accountable to that. And one thing I want to offer that with that too is that in terms of PRs on bench press, people like shooting for 5-pound PRs. I find with bench press, like those 2.5-pound PRs are really what most people should be shooting for at the end of their blocks. Because number one, that's more realistic in terms of bench press progress. Like if you're able to add like 30 pounds to your bench press across a year, that's huge. That's a big deal. And like squat and deadlift, you add 60 pounds to those, like that's great. That's a 5-pound PR block after block. And so what I would just recommend doing is shoot for those smaller PRs on the bench press. Really shoot for that, creating that training momentum. You do not need to redline your body to make progress. In fact, you'll make better progress if you're not redlining your body with really, everything, intensity, volume, whatever seems more like a moderate range, and really respecting your body's abilities and really coaxing it along the way. And then the number 2 reason that I see is probably the top 2 reasons that I see. First one being, obviously training too heavy all the time on bench press, overshooting, etc. But it's probably you're just not jacked enough. I see this all the time with especially hyper specialization of programming right now, where people are doing only bench press. They're going really submaximal all the time, and there's absolutely a place for that. And like I said in the last section, you do want to train submaximally, but you also need enough volume and enough intensity to trigger muscle mass gains. And so if you're only doing a hyper specific bench press program, you're only benching, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to push accessories, go close to failure, have movement variability in your program. You're going to be missing out on getting maximally jacked. And so, really including more accessories in your program, they're going to increase upper body muscle mass with your chest, your triceps, your arms, your shoulders, biceps, back, etc. It's going to make you a better bencher, just having more muscle mass, being able to have better leverages, having heightened heightened potential for muscle strength, because basically you have more motor neurons that can produce force, and mass just moves mass. If you really want to get stronger on bench press, you need to gain weight, and there tends to be different phases, different thresholds for you will see exponential progress on your bench press, and you can look out for a while, but after a long time, like say if your programming is on point, you're not training too heavy, whatever, you try lots of different things with your coach, but you haven't gained weight, your training is hyper specific. Maybe you need to take a step back from doing the hyper specific bench press training. Really push your dumbbell on bench presses, push incline dumbbell bench presses, etc. I also find this will help out a lot with, you know, really reducing risk of injury, because you're going to have that movement variability. You're going to be able to really trigger more hypertrophy of different muscle fibers, because from the research that we know is that the more varied your exercises are, you're going to get more overall complete muscle growth of your overall body. That's why bodybuilders tend to have more variation than powerlifters. Obviously, with our sport, you know, we need to have a certain amount of volume and intensity on the actual lift to trigger that neurological stimulus to get stronger, and also the technique. But I think lots of times in powerlifting programming, I think that people can get away with a lot less specific bench press training, a lot less specific, a lot less free frequency, a lot less volume per session, especially on bench press. It would be better served in the long run if they do more movement variability. I think this is pretty common on squats and deadlifts. So we see this all the time. I don't know why, for whatever reason, like it just doesn't seem to work like that with bench press training. My theory is that a lot of times people who are the elites or the best benchers, whatever, they respond really well to that type of training because they are built for the lift. Most powerlifters are not built for that lift, so they have to have more movement variability to get in their volume, to get, you know, actual muscle growth stimulus that they need, and also to not have those overuse injuries. So those are going to be like my top 2 reasons why your bench press is not making progress. So if you guys have any questions on the video, please ask down below. But I guarantee if you guys like apply both these things to your training and like the outcome of it, and actually like everything outside of the gym and how you're executing your training, you're going to see better bench press progress.